Hello, welcome to A Winter's Daydream. This isn't really a Christmas-themed visual novel, but it is a winter-themed one, so I felt it's still very fitting for the month of December and whatnot. But anyway, this is a visual novel about a boy returning to his countryside home after spending half a year in the city, only to then discover that his elderly grandma has now turned into a young girl. Very interesting premise, so let's get started. It's December 28th, just a few days after Christmas. It's only the 28th of December, but snow is falling outside of the train windows. A very handsome looking young man. Oh, I literally just got an achievement for pretty much just starting out the game. Great. There wasn't any snow back in Tokyo, but the air is crisp and chilly. Cold enough to make you bury your hands in a little deeper into your pockets. It didn't snow. It's different if you travel a little further north though. It gets colder here much earlier. Everything is cold in the northern countryside. Everything except people's hearts, as my dad likes to say. Dad can be pretty cheesy at times, but he might have a point. Been living in Tokyo since spring this year. In the beginning, I was excited to get away from the dull countryside I was raised in, but, well, you know what they say. Grass is always greener on the other side. People are never satisfied. When I left home, I soon discovered just how different the city was from everything I used to know. I lived in the countryside all my life, a small town with a population of around 1,500 people. Or 15,000 people, I should say. That's still a fucking lot. Because the town I live in currently only has 1,500 people, so that's a lot more. Taking it for granted when I knew the names of my neighbors and they knew mine. I thought it was small that our family cat Tama would sometimes stay with the elderly Mr. Garashi for days on end, because he fed our picky feline better cuts of meat than we did. It was only to be expected that the clerk at the nearby grocery store would give me a few extra sweet potatoes whenever I stopped by, because he knew my younger sister Toko, there we go, was fond of them. Family Town was much colder than Tokyo during the winter months. I can still remember the scenes from my childhood where the snow piled up on the roads, fields full 5 inches thick. Old Bruce would stream beneath the burn on the snowfall, and my father would spend his days off work, shoveling snow from our elderly neighbours. No matter how frigid the weather became in my small town, people would always band together to help one another. Spearheaded by gung-ho, eternally optimistic men like my father. My old man's words, the hearts of people were warm, even though the hands were cold. Tokyo, meanwhile, is completely different. In Tokyo, the streets are busy and the buildings are big, and the people... It's hard for me to describe them. That's because there are far too many of them. Tokyo isn't hospitable per se, but it's not the most welcoming of places. Least of all to a boy like me, grew up in such a secluded environment. Afraid Tokyo would eat me up and spit me back out again. I think my parents were afraid too. Mum used to call me every other day when I was first settling in. She was forever sending me bags of rice and locally procured persimmon. Whatever that word is. Fearful I might be so overwhelmed by my new surroundings, I would forget to buy myself food. That, or maybe she was worried I wouldn't know how. Fortunately, I managed to make it this far. Though I was awkward and unsure in the beginning, aside the hostile alien terrain of the big city. Joined the photography club at university, and I made several friends. The time in the city wasn't as bleak or scary as I feared it would be. In fact, I enjoyed it. 8 months later, and I managed to make it back to my hometown in mostly one piece, with an expensive new haircut and expensive new shoes and expensive new glasses to show for my travels. Canvas bag lies on the ground at my feet, a small bag with only a few sets of clothes, and a games console and my camera stashed away inside. Going to be back home for a handful of days. Plan to stay for New Year's. Of course, because it's a family celebration. Me, my father, my mother, and my younger sister always go to our local shrine together, but that's it. The 3rd January rolls around, I'll be on this old rickety train back home. Can't afford to miss the start of the new semester, not even a couple of days. Time, I have discovered, moves more quickly in the city than it does in the countryside. Missed a single lecture, you'll be scrambling around for a week trying to recover the information that slipped through your fingers. But sometimes it's too late. There's not enough time. Never enough time. I sigh as I stare at the train's window. Very dark, but the stars are particularly bright tonight. I think I can spot, whatever that is, out the corner of my eye. 3rd brightest star in the northern hemisphere. I know a lot about the stars. My grandfather liked to lecture me about the night sky when I was little. Wasn't practically interested, only cared about my Game Boy, but his lessons must have stuck. Can I see any other constellations out the train windows? It's hard to tell. My eyes, despite my brand new glasses, are unfocused. Snow doesn't help. Snowflakes fall slowly and lazily, swirling around the cool night sky like they have all the time in the world. Time. I yawn. Of course it wouldn't snow in Tokyo. That would cause too many problems. It could interfere with the bus routes and the train schedules. Schools would be shut, businesses being cancelled, and everything would fall apart. All it takes is a day. Time is money. Can only afford to snow out here, in the middle of nowhere, because who is it going to inconvenience? Citizens in my tiny town with its miserable selection of shops and only one high school? Like anybody cares. 15,000 people is nothing compared to the millions who reside in Tokyo. I can feel sleep is creeping up on me. Arms and legs droop like unwatered plants. The head feels too far heavy for my neck, though it's been stuffed full of newspapers. Hopefully you don't miss our stop. A soft yawn, my eyelids fall shut, and my head leans back against my chair. I think I'm dreaming. My dreams, it snows. It always snows around here. So I missed my parents a good deal when I went away to Tokyo. Eventually learned how to live without them. Can even iron my own laundry now. Nothing short of a miracle. I've always been on the short side for my age. I'm a mother's gene pool, with long feminine fingers and soft round cheeks. I'm still 19 years old. I'll be 20 next year. I am an adult, though I don't particularly look like one, and we all have to grow up eventually. My parents saw me at the train station last spring, heart full of dreams and my head full of nerves. I had put one mini paw on my shoulder and told me there was nothing to worry about. "You're my son," he said. "No matter what happens, you'll do just fine. I have faith in you." Man, that wind is really fucking picking up. At the time I appreciated this vote of confidence, particularly when I had so little confidence in myself. I like to believe I'm capable of being self-sufficient now. I still think about my father's words from time to time. His serious tone was quite unusual for my dad, who, despite being tall and broad-shouldered, like a cop from a film noir, is always cracking terrible jokes. His unsupportive attitude was certainly new. Whenever I watched television with my family on New Year's Eve, held together beneath the kotatsu, like penguins, my dad would point to the male idols on the panel shows and say, "Look you, I've had the perfect job for you. Haven't you ever wanted to be a model?" And he'd laugh and slap his knee, disrupting the top of the kotatsu so grease tea spilled everywhere. Never imagined I'd one day miss my father, who was determined to poke fun at me at every given opportunity during my formative years. But I missed him more than I expected. As for my younger sister, however, yeah, she looks like the bitchy popular type. Hey you, are you dead? Ask you to pass me the vinegar. Don't think I could ever miss her. Taco might be part of my family, but we never got on, despite how similar we look. She, like me, inherited her looks from our mother. Unlike me, however, her charms aren't a source of amusement or derision. Taco, or Toko, is short and slender, with face shaped like an egg. She has clear skin, clear eyes, and the same long fingers that I have, though her nails are always filed and polished, painted to match her outfit for the day. Pretty girl, there's no doubt about it, but asked you like 4 times now. Vinegar, now. Not exactly nice. Yeah, I called that one. Like, nice is the last word you used to describe her. Oh, sorry, I was spacing out, tired from my trip. You do look pale. Would you like me to run a bath for you, dear? It's fine, Mum. I can do it myself later. My mother always likes coddling people. Maybe that's why Toko grew up to be such a... I should hope you can do it yourself. Been away from home for so long, now's gotta learn someday. Dad laughs closely and slaps a hand on my shoulder. Ow. Oh dear, if you're that tired, you should have some more green tea. Might wake you up after your long journey. Mum begins to refill my cup of green tea without waiting for my response. Don't have to play the role of the perfect hostess with me, but telling my mother that would be a fruitless effort. I've long suspected my mother has a unique form of OCD. Namely, she can't rest easy when there's food to serve and cups to fill. Maybe it's because she worked as a waitress in Ryokan for a few years. Maybe it's because she missed having her family all together like this. Guess she wants to pamper me as much as possible when she has the chance. Not many people were as compassionate as my mother, apart from Mrs. Mishima? Is that how you pronounce it? I'm sorry if I pronounce any of these names wrong. I'm never good at pronouncing words in other languages. Perhaps who used to babysit me and Toko when we were kids. Oh please. My mother is only too happy to attend to my needs. Imagined or otherwise, Toko is less enthusiastic. Can't be that tired, you big baby. Toko's not that far away. It's 6 hours. My getting a train was half an hour late. Oh, poor you. Excuse me if I don't weep with sympathy. At least you get to live in the big city now. I'd kill to be in your position. Let's not talk about killing at the dinner table, dear. Whatever. Toko rolls her eyes. The motion is particularly effective given the ring of black eyeliner that frames her deep brown irises. Maybe I should try to defuse the situation. Well, this might be a family, well, except for a nuclear unit, but I have been away for almost a year, so only natural our reunion would be a little awkward. Can't expect anything to revert back to the way it used to be over a single meal. Don't need to get jealous of Taco. Don't call me that. Oops. Forgot how much Otoko hates it when people use her real name. How could I forget? I tuned my head off about it 1,000,001 times ever since she turned 13. Started reading fashion magazines and learned to be self-conscious. Of course, she's the rebellious teen. Toko never used to be this much of a brat when she was a kid. Puberty, beyond filling out her figure, did something rather frightening to my little sister. Might have blossomed on the outside like a beautiful flower, but personally has withered on the vine. I'm sorry, Utomi. Family name is Saotomi? Is that how you pronounce it? Toko prefers to go by the diminutive of that, rather than her given name. Well, I can't exactly blame her. Toko inherited her name from our maternal grandmother. It's a pretty hefty burden to place a fashion-conscious girl on a fashion-conscious girl like my younger sister. Well, Toko is written perfectly innocent characters. Those were sound and girl, respectively. More commonly used to demean man. Toko says as soon as she leaves home and goes to university, going to get her name legally changed. I've tried to talk her out of it, but Toko is as stubborn as a goat. Nothing can change her mind. That's why it's impossible to argue with her about anything. Anyway, Toko is not all that's cracked up to be, you know. Oh, really? Really? It's so big and there's so many people. It can be pretty noisy at times. So, are you trying to show off now? No, Oh, it must be so hard for poor little you, having to go all the way off to the big bad city. I'm stuck here in this dump with nothing to do for another 2 years. The town isn't so bad, is it, Tommy? You don't want to grow up too soon. Enjoy your childhood. Not a child, just turned 17, Dad. Nonsense. You still look like a little girl to me. Please, you'd say that even if I was as old as a grandma. That's because no matter how old you get, you'll always be my darling little girl. Dad reaches over and ruffles the top of Toko's immaculately styled hair. Toko pulls her face and shuffles away, legs of her chair scraping against the floor. How many times have I told you not to do that, Dad? You're ruining my hair. You're ruining it for who? That just laughs. Dad laughs a lot. I yawn, fatigued, but not fatigued enough to forget to press a hand against my mouth. I had no desire to give my family an eye full of half-masticated, Nikujaga? I have no idea what that is. Not my first day back at home. So, Otomi, you wanted to visit her? That's what I said, like an hour ago. She obviously didn't make this request an hour ago, but I did point that out. Getting into an argument about semantics would be incredibly childish and petty. And I'm an adult now. Yeah, it's hard to think over to Otoko. As expected, she doesn't thank me. I don't know why you couldn't have gone it yourself. Push all the way across the table. Toko raises her eyebrow. Doesn't say, "What, are you stupid?" But that's clearly the message she's trying to imply. You were closer to it than me. Anyway, you're supposed to be the man. Aren't you meant to look out for your little sister? Sorry, I didn't think. No, well, you never do. Guess some things don't change. I agree with my sister, but she might be right. It's been many months since I saw her last, and she is still a huge brat. So, honey, we're all curious. What's it like in a big city? I haven't been there a full year yet, but you already look different. Do you really think so? That's right, you got new glasses, haven't you? And I think you got taller. Look at Mum, hopefully, perhaps a bit too hopefully, and exclaim. Huh, really? In your dreams. Thanks for bringing me back down to earth, little bump taco. So, dear brother, how did you spill the beans? What's it like in a big city? I'm dying to know. Please enlighten us, little people. Well, there's so much. Not sure where to begin. Don't really want to begin either. Nor was Toko glaring at me, lips pursed, like she's sucking out a bit of melon. Too tired for all this. The train ride really took it out of me. Must be getting old. Clear stream of water cascades from the tap and drums against the stainless steel base on the kitchen sink. Glossy soap bubbles danced in the air, shining with rainbows. Tonight's dinner was a veritable feast, painstakingly created for the sake of replenishing your energy after that awful train journey, to use Mum's words. Grateful Mum went the extra mile for me. Really, I am. Just notice that there's like a little cactus up there. It's so cute. Also looks like it's got like a couple of pairs of eyes and like a little mouth too. I think that's just the rose though. Fortunately, the sheer variety of side dishes Mum cooked has created a mountain of dirty bowls, pots and pans, all stacked up on the right side of the sink. It's like Mount Fuji in a miniature, but more precarious, of course. Still, I shouldn't complain. Mum cooked all this food for me. Knowing her, she probably had been in the kitchen since the crack of dawn. The kind of person who makes her own dashi stock and noodles. Who still brought stuff for us. Very lucky son. Mum went through a lot of effort on my behalf, so it's only right I should clean up the mess my return home caused. Mum tried to wave aside my offer to help. Don't be silly, dear. You can't wash up in your state. You must be exhausted. But I remained firm despite the fatigue that had crept up on me. And yeah, you're probably ready to go into a food coma now, so. I hid my lethargy as best as I could around Mum. But now she's put it off to the living room with Dad. I'm quite startled with my yawns. Soap bubbles danced before my drooping eyes like something from a dream. Finally, I reach out and touch one. The shining spherical surface is slick and wet to the touch. 1 or 2 milliseconds before it bursts. Disappears without a trace, as though it was never there. Fortunately, the pots and pans remain, and they're not going to go away if I stand here spacing out. If only Toko would help a little. I told her to lend a hand, but... Hey, aren't you supposed to be doing the drying? I don't feel like it. I'm asking you to help. Maybe she did, but Mum isn't here to tell me what to do right now. Not like you ever listen to her anyway. Or anybody else, for that matter. Yes, I've only been back home for a few hours, but Toko's already starting to get on my nerves. Look, I've had a busy day. I'll do the washing. The least you could do is run a cloth over the pots and pans. You want my nails? No thanks. I just painted them yesterday. I don't know why you bother painting your nails anyway. Nobody's gonna see them. Shut up. I didn't ask for your opinion. Toko is sitting at the kitchen table, head poked out with one hand, other idly flicking through a fashion magazine. Cat Tama, meanwhile, was lying on Toko's lap. The sight stings. Always loved cats, and I named my parents for one the moment I was old enough to form basic sentences. Not really sure why I was so obsessed, but the prospect of owning a cat sounded absolutely magical to me during my childhood. Begged and begged and begged, till my mother finally caved into my demand and brought me a cat for my 8th birthday. That was Tama. Tama came with a caviar that I had to look after her by myself. But I didn't care. I was happy to have a cute feline friend of my very own, who I would love and cherish, who would love and cherish me in return. Fortunately, like most things in life, it didn't quite work out like that. Tama had never liked me. She lets me pet her, which is rarely, does so under duress. Her eyes narrow, her back rigid, ready to board at any moment. Tama's always referred to Toko, though I'm the one who used to feed her and empty her litter tray. Guess I know the meaning of the word loyalty. Probably because they're cats, not humans. They have the thumbs we do to flick through dictionaries. Whatever. Often wondered if Tama likes a Toko, because they're so similar, both temperamental, selfish, and self-centered. Toko is the only one who can carry Tama in her arms, and the only one who can make Tama purr. Tama's purring right now, in fact, fluffy body vibrating. Side is rather cute. A shame she's never acted cute around me. Am I really that unworthy? Toko. Trying to control my sister once more, but she's glaring at me and I soon realized I slipped up. Good God. Trying to have a conversation with my little sister is like picking my way through a field of landmines. Sorry, Tommy. Don't you think it's a little unfair? Nice unfair. But I only just got back home. Shouldn't have to do all the washing and the drying by myself. I don't know why you're complaining. You're the one who volunteered. I know, but... Such a stuck-up you. You're always trying to score brownie points from people by acting like a good little boy. Not a boy, I'm nearly 20. And is there anything wrong with helping others? I don't trust guys who act too nice. They always want something in return. Just want you to help me do the dishes. And the saucepans, and the pots, and the cutting boards, and the bowls, and the plates, and the chopsticks. Alright, I know there's a lot, but come on. I'm doing most of the work here. Because you were so eager to help. Well, whatever. I'll give you a hand. One condition. What's that? No, Toko too well. You know I haven't been back home in a while. There's a painfully high chance that a singular condition will be something unpleasant. It doesn't ask me to put wasabi in my eyes. She's threatened me with much worse. But she doesn't threaten me, and neither does she ask me to injure myself for her amusement. Said she brazenly, without a shred of embarrassment, I want a present. Pardon? I said, numbskull, I want a present. What did you do to deserve a present? Isn't it obvious? No. Geez, you're so dense. Toko rolls her eyes. I went all the way to Tokyo, duh. Should have picked me up a souvenir or two. I wasn't on holiday, Toko. I mean, Tommy, sorry. Like I was saying, wasn't on holiday. I was studying at a university, to get a job. But you were still in Tokyo. Yes, and... I was looking for a bikini. Maybe something like this. Toko turns a page in the magazine and holds it up for my inspection. This one here too. They're both cute, but they don't sell any nice clothes in this crappy little town. Go to the next town over then. I have. Never have what I want either. Sure they would in Tokyo. I've heard the boutiques there are huge, and the malls. All sounds amazing. I would love to go shopping. That place and also Shibuya. Yeah, I should probably just stop trying to pronounce these. Clothes and shopping are probably Toko's second and third favourite topics of conversation, respectively. Clothes shopping beats them out by a wide margin. This one-sided discussion has actually managed to bring a rare smile to my sister's lips. For a moment, she actually looks like a sweet, charming girl. But the moment soon ends. Toko sighs and leans back in her chair. Legs screech against the floor unpleasantly. That's what the sound was. Gonna say that. She should probably go get it checked out if that's what a sigh sounds like. Tommy's ears perk up. Always been sensitive, even to the slightest of sounds. Though comfortable a few seconds ago, a finicky cat suddenly gets her feet, or paws, I guess, hops onto the floor. Never been to a mall before. Where does it go? Sounds like fun. Malls aren't really that interesting, just have a lot of shops. It's easy for you to say now you have all these opportunities. Get to go to a huge metropolis like Tokyo. You don't even think to bring your little sister back a present? I'd kill to find clothes like this. Points to her magazine again. Around here. You have enough clothes already. It's true too. Toko's closet is full to bursting with outfits. The kind of person who buys clothes compulsively, wears them once, then forgets about them. Truly, this is Western decadence at its finest. But I don't have the clothes I want. We can always have what we want. Aren't you the one who said life is unfair? Okay, at least if asked me if I wanted any presents before he came back, then he could have brought me back something nice. Why would I buy my sister a bikini? Kind of weird. So you won't get me a gift? Too late now, we're already back home. Draco rolls her eyes. You can buy it when you get back and have it posted to me later, genius. And you might as well order it online yourself. Missing the point here. If I had to do that, it wouldn't be a present. Why do you deserve a present? You're so selfish. We do sit on your behind while I do all the work. That's because you offered like a moron. Right, that does it. Therefore to do what exactly? Oh sure. Remember what Taka's face is the first thing that comes to mind. I don't get a chance to wreak my revenge. That's because at that exact moment, Tama, the small fairy intertwines itself around my unsuspecting ankles. Stagger like a drunkard, arms flaying around for support, nothing to grab onto. Teeter her totter. Then, quite spectacularly, I fall. My behind hits the floor with a dull thud. Head smacks against the back of the kitchen cabinets, while the small of my neck catches against one of the handles. Ow. Holy. Kiss under my breath. It hurts. Hurts a lot, actually. Tama, of course, escapes it relatively unscathed. It gives me a withering look and darts away, to held proudly aloft. Toko snorts. You're such a klutz, you. That's what you get for refusing me refusing to buy me, your only sister, a fitting present. I grit my teeth together and count to 10 inside my head. If I don't, I end up saying something I regret. Like you haven't been doing that already? Toku really is impossible. You know, that's siblings for you. Hey, December 29th on the Friday. Breakfast the next morning is an awkward affair. Toku, who sits opposite me at the table, barely gives me a second glance. Her entire attention is directly at her miso soup, with laser-like intensity. Is she really that upset I didn't agree to buy her a bikini? Why should I, anyway? Knowing Toku's taste, the scanty strips of fabric tied together with flimsy strings that she covets would cost more than a meal capable of feeding a whole family. Besides, I have no real desire to loiter around the women's swimwear section in any clothes stores, especially not for the sake of my sister. I know Tokyo wouldn't appreciate it. I didn't go to Tokyo to buy my family gifts. No tourist. I live there now. It's my home. This town used to be my home not so very long ago. Things really have changed during the last 8 months. Though Toko is trying her hardest to avoid me, something softly nostalgic about this scene. In fact, it's nostalgic precisely because she's avoiding me. I suppose Toko's foul temper is, too, just part of my daily life. My old life. We used to get on well enough when we were younger, but we haven't for a few years now. Don't know why. Don't think I've done anything aggressively terrible to her, other than call her the wrong name from time to time. Make that most of the time. Still pondering, I fish a cube of tofu out of my miso soup, pop it between my teeth. Smooth and silken, viewed with dashi stock, has a deeper, richer flavor than any tofu I've ever tasted before. Mum watches me expectantly, a small smile on her face. How is it, dear? Really great. Trying to smile with one of my own. Have you gotten better at cooking? Oh, stop. You're trying to flatter me. Well, maybe. If you keep it up, you'll get seconds. See if you don't. That was the genuine idea, yes. When did you become such a smooth talker, you? Being in the big C must have taught you a thing or two about flattering the ladies. Oh please, I'm no lady. I'm old enough to be his mother. Ugh, gross. Get a room, you two. It's the most I've heard from Toko during the past 20 minutes. Swear, being with her is like trying to squeeze blood from a stone. But at least stones can't pull faces and call you gross. Even the stones in the mythical land of Tokyo. So, do you want another helping of miso soup, honey? Yes, please. Hold on my bowl and Mum takes it, rustling off to the counter to fetch my top-up. What about the rice? Do you have enough? Well, I guess a little more couldn't hurt. That's right, you're still a growing boy. You need to keep your energy up, especially now you're back home. Sometimes I worry about you in the city. Don't know if you're eating enough or eating the right things. I think he's been eating more than enough, Mum. I mean, look at him. What do you mean? Isn't it obvious? Going to end up like Dad if you're not careful. Well, it's about time he started taking after me. I always thought he was too skinny. Oh, don't you worry. He looks more and more like you by the day. Stop being stupid. Cut it out. Glad my little sister bitterly. When she was being silent, part of me wished she would say something, but now she's opened her mouth, I want nothing more than for her to keep it shut. There are a handful of things in the world that should never be opened, no matter what. First is the sealed off entrance to Zanami's tomb. Second are the tubs of my grandmother's homemade natto sauce. Third is Otoko's mouth. Mom hands me a bowl of miso soup, now filled to the brim, and exchanges it for my half-finished bowl of brown rice. Goes to the rice cooker, ambling good-naturedly, chums while she scoots more rice into my bowl, and returns it to me with a smile. Here you go, sweetie. Enjoy. Oh, thanks. I try to sound enthusiastic, but my good mood has begun to wane. Poke out a cube of tofu in my miso soup. Rolls like a rubber duck in a bathtub. No Toku's trying to get at me, and I don't want to give her the satisfaction of winning. And now it's impossible for me not to feel self-conscious. Have I really put on weight? Don't think I look any different than I did 8 months ago, but Toku's forever pouring through fashion magazines, peering at a reflection in the mirror. Probably has a better eye for looks than I do. Guess I have been eating out more than I used to. To be expected, really, when there are so many restaurants and fast food places in Tokyo. And I live next to a McDonald's that's 24/7, or open 24/7. Scarfing lukewarm chicken nuggets at 3 in the morning while working on SAG later that day is peak student living. Yeah, it's pretty much the expected lifestyle of a student, no matter what country you're from. Oh, I thought you said you were hungry. Why are you picking at your food like that? I'm fine. Fine, he says. You're gonna look like Pikachu if you're not careful. I mean, Pikachu is kinda cute, so... That's such a bad thing. I always thought Pikachu was pretty cute. That's what I just said. I meant Pikachu from the first games with a round chubby belly. Maybe Snorlax would be more accurate. Toko. Hey. Toko kicks the leg of my chair beneath my table. I said Tommy to you. Kick upsets the table. My curiously full bowl of masala splashes all over the table and onto my lap. It's uncomfortably hot and hiss beneath my breath. Otoko, be more careful. I think you're the one who needs to be more careful. You just look at yourself. Look at you, being so childish. You need to grow up. You're growing up a little too much, dear brother. Or not up enough. Or not up, but out. Why you... Now you two, try to behave please. No children anymore. That's right. Be nice to your sister, you. That's right, you. Be nice to your sister. Put my teeth together. And your sibling, I'm always the one who gets in trouble, no matter what Otoko does. Parents are soft on her. Dad always wanted a daughter, I think. So let her get away with a lot. Doesn't hurt that she's so pretty. I understand my feet on the floor and say that this isn't fair. But I know doing that really would make me seem like a child. I had to try and bear it. Will I? All of a sudden, I'm hit with a bright idea. You know what? I'm thinking about visiting Grandma today. Huh? Why would you do a stupid thing like that? To an outsider, Toku's reaction might seem rude, but I think she has a valid point, for once. Miko is our paternal grandmother, and our only grandparent who is still alive. He lives even further out in the sticks than we do. You can imagine such a thing. The house is situated in a village far littler than this town, a good 40 minutes away by train. The train chugs along an old semi-abandoned track that's rusted and overgrown with weeds. There are no buildings for miles around. No streets. No houses. just flat, seemingly endless expanse of fields. Thinking about 300 people call my grandmother's teeny tiny village home. Surprised it hasn't been bulldozed over to make room for a highway yet. Maybe the planners and the local government don't even know the village exists. So out of the way, more birds live than the people, putting their nests in the holy ruins of all the abandoned houses. Used to hate our family visits to Grandma Yumiko when I was little, but now I'm starting to think that the peace and quiet of the countryside would be good for me. It will certainly be more peaceful without Toko around. Being serious, I haven't seen Grandma in a while. If I let this moment slip by, who knows when I'll get the next chance. I don't understand why you want to take this chance. We had to go there this summer. It was so boring. Got bitten to death by bugs too. Well, you know how it is. It's getting on in years. I want to see her just in case. You don't need to worry about my mother. She's a tough old bird. Tough as they come. No, but it really has been a while. Weirdo. Well, I think it's a nice idea. Riko's always been fond of you, and she's only been to Tokyo a few times in her life. Sure, she'd love to hear how you've been doing at university. Now go and call her right now. Yes, you do that. But do you have any idea when you'll be coming back? I'm not sure yet. It takes a while to get out there, and the trains and buses don't run very often. Maybe they'll all get cancelled, and you'll get stuck up in that mountain for months and months. Why does Otoko sound so pleased by that prospect? If that happens, I'll change my name to Heidi. And start wearing goats. Toko snorts and rolls her eyes. Doesn't add any further comment. That is, if a mumbled freak under her breath counts as a further comment. Don't stay with your grandmother for too long. Want to spend time with you too. Don't forget, it's almost New Year's. Need to visit the local shrine together as a family. That's what we always do, isn't it, dear? That's right. New Year's wouldn't be the same without you. No, my mother's a fun old woman to be around. She's always doted on you, but don't let her take up all your time. Don't worry, I'll only be gone a day. 2 at most. That's what you say, but all your days are precious. You're my only son. I really have missed you. And I'm Grandma's only grandson. Sure, she's missed me too. Well, no, Toko has at any rate. The sister is reclining in a chair, chopsticks in her mouth, idly pushing a piece of tofu from one side of her cheek to the other. She seems to be looking, she scowls and turns her head away. I thought little sisters were supposed to respect their older brothers. Why did I have to get stuck with a Toko? With my grandmother after breakfast. She sounds more than happy to accommodate me for a few days. At least somebody is. Luckily, I don't have too much to pack. So tired after dinner last night, didn't have the time to take all my belongings out of my rucksack. Retrieve my bag from my bedroom, then make my way downstairs. Tama is meandering about in the entrance hallway by our shoes. She sniffs at my sneakers curiously, her pink nose twitching, her head cocked to one side. Maybe my scent has disturbed her. Cats are incredibly territorial, and it has been 8 months since I last came back here. Do I smell unfamiliar to her now? Maybe she thinks I'm a stranger, hostile invader. Oh well, Tama never liked me anyway. Shoo shoo. Leave my hand in front of Tama's direction, she hisses, scampering off down the hallway. Tail wheels stuck up in the air like an aerial, as it so often is. Stupid cat. Take a seat on the stairs and slide my shoes onto my feet. Can act a little nicer to me, you know. I don't see why she should. You're never nice to her. Oh. Glanced upwards, meeting my sister's narrowed eyes. It's you. Jeez. And you say Thelma has personality problems. You're the one who should be acting nicely. And why's that? Should be more appreciative that I came to talk to you before you left, Dar. Yes, I'm overwhelmed with emotion that a goddess such as yourself deigned to materialize before a mere mortal like me. Quite literally, too. Didn't hear Toko's footsteps as she approached me. Maybe she did, or really did, materialize out of thin air. Then again, it's more like a Kodo or Toko is so skinny her feet don't make any telltale noises. They touch the floor. Toko doesn't eat much. Picks at her food daintily, like a baby bird, pushes things around in a bowl and on a plate. Not very much actually goes inside her mouth. Maybe she's trying to get that perfect bikini body at the end of December. Toko might not be the nicest of girls, but you can't say she isn't dedicated. So, why are you here? Are you gonna beg me not to leave? We missed me after all? Huh, as if. I should have known. I was going to give you this, so you don't starve. I got a achievement for getting a little gift from my sister. That's cute. Toko throws something in my direction. It's a small lunchbox wrapped up in a cutely in a pink and white spotted handkerchief. The handkerchief is tied at the top in a neat ribbon, keeping the separate layers of the lunchbox held together. Very sweet gesture. At least it would be if Toko wasn't scowling. But it doesn't match my younger sister at all. What is she playing at? Are you really giving this to me? Well, duh. Who else would I be giving it to? Ask a stupid question, I guess. Why are you sitting there gulping? You let flies in. Oh, sorry. I just didn't expect this. Cutely packaged lunchbox is the very last thing I expect Toko to hand me. Unless the contents are poisoned, of course. Or something that's going to change our grandmother into a younger woman. Younger sisters in TV shows are usually sweet and doting. They worry about their older brothers, fuss over their health, and make them delicious food. The shame these girls only exist inside the TV screen. My little sister is the exact opposite of all that. That's why the situation is so surprising. By any chance, did you make this? No. Toko rolls her eyes. Mum did, obviously. Oh, right, of course. As if Toko would ever cook for me. Not sure if Toko can cook in the first place. But a lot can change in 8 months. Even if she could, she wouldn't waste her culinary prowess on me. She hates me. Oh, thanks for giving it to me. It's nothing. Mom told me to. If she hadn't asked, I wouldn't have bothered. I figured. Now take it. Hurry, hurry. Toko shoves the lunchbox in my hands, scowling. Uses so much force I almost drop it. Now get going. Sick of looking at your idiotic face. Thanks, I guess. Whatever. Grab the lunchbox curiously with one hand. Don't know what's inside, but I can hear the sounds of food sloshing around, hidden from prying eyes. What could Mum have made me for my journey? There'll be rice, no doubt. That's a standard. Rolled egg omelette too. Maybe a small hamburger steaks or fried chicken. God, that all sounds so good. Don't shake the lunchbox like that. You'll ruin it. Oh, I'm sorry. Now, what are you waiting for? Run along. Miss the train if you don't. Then you really will be stuck with me. Wouldn't that be awful? I open my mouth, ready to retort, but I don't know what I should retort with. I never seem to know when I'm with Otoko. That doesn't really matter though, because she turns about on her heels and stalks off in much the same manner Tama did earlier. If Tokyo had a tail, I'm sure it'd be sticking up in the air. Watch her from afar, sighing. Thanks for your concern. I could always look on the bright side. Doubt my relationship with my lovely sister could get any worse. You're already at rock bottom, there's no place you can go other than up, right? Transitioning is relatively unremarkable. It would be perfectly silent were it not for the rolling of the old train wheels against the track. One of the only people sitting in this old juddery car is a woman with brown hair holding a bouquet of white lilies on her lap. A man with a young boy, his son presumably, resting against his shoulder, stuck by a clutch in his chest. But that's all. Otherwise, the carriage is utterly deserted, just like the flat, featureless countryside that speeds past us. Stare aimlessly out the windows, which are frosted over with powder snow icing. Rice fields and hedgerows are pure white. All the trees have been stripped of their leaves, and the cool wind runs through them, making them shiver. Unused handrests stay precariously above my head. Why these handrests on an old train like this? Nobody needs to stand. There are always free seats available. Not enough people live around here. Not any houses. Just fields. Handrests seem like a useless expense, rocking pointlessly to and fro with the motion of the train. It's cold inside the train compartment, and my every exhalation of air misses up on the windows. Young boy clutching the bed mumbles incoherently in his sleep. A strand of drool drips slowly from the corner of his mouth. Father wipes it away with a crumpled tissue. Tender, gentle gesture makes me think of my mother. How she would baby me when I was that boy's age. She still babies me even now. Though I'm almost 20, and it isn't really the same. Getting older, nobody can stop the inevitable march of time. During the long journey, which lasts a good half hour longer than it has any right to, I eat my lunch. Mum did a wonderful job like usual. There's brown rice, as expected. Mum favours brown rice over white. Says it has more flavour, continued with rolled egg, omelettes, cherry tomatoes, crisp fried chicken, and slices of apple. Mum used to make lunches like this for me back when I was in elementary school. If I ignore my reflection in the train's windows, I can always fool myself into believing I'm a small child again. I closed the lid on my empty lunchbox and I set it onto my lap. Resting my fingers on the box, I turned my head to look outside the window, the sugary snow clinging to each and every surface. I feel like I'm trapped inside a snow globe. Biggest snow globe ever to be created. The train finally pulls into the station, with an unpleasant screech of brakes and a flurry of powdered snow. I almost feel remorseful. I was enjoying my journey, and I wasn't the only one. Molly's jolts, her eyes wide open. I think she was starting to nod off, clinging to a slightly crushed bouquet like some sort of talisman. The little boy with stuffed bear jerks awake lengthways, glances about the almost empty train compartment, the abandoned train station, and blinks. Eyes full of tears. Then he starts to cry. Don't really blame him. I used to feel like crying whenever my parents took me to this tiny village too. I start unkempt and run down. It only inspires vague, uneasy feelings of depression. The dilapidated old train station. The station might be a bit generous when there's only one platform. Timbers one's expectations for the village beyond it perfectly. It's dull and desolate, almost entirely removed from the real world. All the same, I think I've gained a newfound appreciation for peace and quiet after living in Tokyo. It relaxing, even if the young boy's tears aren't. His dad leans over, tending to console him, but I pay them little heed. Get to my feet, pulling my luggage out from the rack above my head. Time to get going. I see a creepy porcelain doll over there. What is it with grandparents and having creepy porcelain dolls? Because I know my grandmother had like a full cabinet of them. It's just like, did not want to fucking sleep in the room with them because it feels like they're staring into your soul. Grandmother greets me cheerfully when I arrive at her home. Rather offers the usual pleasantries while I take on my shoes in the entrance hall. How much she missed me, how happy she is to see me, and how I am welcome to stay with her for as long as I'd like. As my shoes are removed and lined up beside my grandmother's winter boots, she ushers me into the living room. Not until we're both seated beneath the kutatsu, heater beneath warming our feet, that she says the fateful line all grandmothers say to their grandchildren when they haven't seen them in a few months. My, you really have grown. It's as predictable as clockwork. I wonder if there's some kind of script that grandparents operate from. Maybe an obscure law. As I ponder this, I look down at myself and frowned. Have I really grown taller? Oh yes, definitely. To be quite honest, I can't see any difference. I think my grandmother's being a bit too optimistic. Yeah, that's all she shrunk during the last few months, which isn't beyond the realms of possibility, actually. Strange things happen to our bodies as we get older. And I think I look the same as always. Maybe to you, because you see yourself in the mirror every day, it's hard to notice change when it creeps up on you. I guess. Different from me. I don't see you in 8 months. You shut up like a bean sprout. I think Mom said something like that yesterday too. Saku did? Yeah. Then I take her word for it. She has a good eye, that woman. Dad didn't seem to notice though. Oh, Kanami wouldn't. He can't see more than 5 feet past his own face. Poor his Ako smarts. I don't know if she made the right decision when she married my son. Though, as Kanami's mother, I'm glad she did. He needs a woman to help guide him in my absence. Right. Where's trails off? Not sure what to add to that. Grandmother's a strange woman. Likes teasing people, particularly my dad. She jokes around so often, it's hard to tell when, if ever, she's been serious. Reminds me a little fox, actually. Easily devious. Sometimes wonder how she managed to raise a straightforward man like my father. Anyway, would you like some green tea? I can always brew you a cup. Oh, you don't have to. I don't want to cause you any trouble. Taking care of my beloved grandson is never any trouble. Might be old, but I'm not that old. She has a point. Grandma Yumiko might be in her 80s, but she's as energetic as a woman half her age. Spirit is very much alive. Her body betrays her years. Fingers are long and skinny, her face ingrained with wrinkles. And her eyes would be horribly unfocused without the aid of her glasses. Despite all this, however, my grandmother pulls herself to her feet with a smile betraying no weakness. Such an old woman who didn't see is quite impressive. But I'm worried all the same. You don't need to make the tea for me. I can always help you. Push my palms against the surface of the kutatsu, ready to get to my feet, but... Now, that would never do. Sit down, dear. You're the guest, I see you so rarely these days, I want to take care of you while I have the chance. I'll get that tea for you in a moment. Right, thanks for your hospitality. Don't need to be formal, my dear. We're family. Sorry. And you don't need to apologize either. So, catch myself before I can make the same mistake twice. My grandmother smiles fondly. You really are Sako's son. She's very polite too. A model woman, in fact. I think you're more like her than my kind of me. Is that a good thing? It is what it is. No matter who your parents are, they're still you at the end of the day. Right. So, the tea. You do like green tea, don't you? You'll have to forgive my poor memory. But it's been such a long time since I've forgotten. Green is fine. Good. It's all I have at the moment, anyway. Ikanari always loved my tea, but oh well, that's in the past. Now, would you look at me rabbiting on? I need to get that kettle brewing. Work of a hostess is never done. Grandma pads out of the living room, puts his cushion by her croon slippers. I begin to glance around in my grandmother's absence, and to hear the katatsu soothe my weary feet and aching legs. Grandmother's home is equation session. Yeah, that word. Japanese. Walls are supported with wood, the floor is made with tatami mats, the doors are sliding screens. This kind of architecture almost feels rustic after my time spent in Tokyo. Apartment in Tokyo has a distinctly Western feeling. There are no tatami floors. There's not that much wood either. There are a lot of smooth, shiny plastic surfaces, however, and I sleep in a bed instead of a futon. This old house is far away from my apartment, as it's possible to get. Looks the same as always. Same pictures hanging on the wall, same books lying on the shelves, the same wooden fruit bowls rest on top of the katatsu. The only object in the room that skews Japanese sensibilities is a French doll sitting in a small table by a bookcase. The doll has blonde hair tied back in neat ringlets, blue eyes fringed with long lashes and small pouty lips. She wears a dress made of silk, real silk I think, matching shoes and socks. I think her name is Lisette. Grandparents brought Lisette when they were on a holiday to Europe more than 50 years ago. She's been a permanent fixture of this house ever since, even if she is a tad out of place. When she was younger, Taco used to examine Lisette, brushing her hair and unbuttoning then rebuttoning her dinky little shoes. I played with Lisette too, though not quite as delicately as my sister. I used to tip the poor doll upside down, intrigued to see what sorts of underwear she had on. Play white drawers if you're interested. I don't really need to know. That's young boys for you. It was a particularly exciting sight. Visiting my grandparents was never exciting. The old house reminds me of my childhood, of long, seemingly endless summer days, where I would lounge about in the shade, trying to keep both the heat and my own boredom at bay. It never worked. Sometimes my parents and my grandparents and Otoko and I would eat slices of watermelon sitting on the wooden veranda outside. Watermelon has grown locally, its firm green skin concealed an inviting pale pink interior studded with little black seeds. We used to sprinkle salt on our slices of watermelon to draw out the flavour, the trick Dad taught me. That was kind of fun, I guess. All summer air thronged with intrusive insects, buzzed and bit and sucked my blood, leaving me with little red wheals all over my arms and legs. Fortunately, it's too cold for insects right now. Grandmother's home is the same as it was during those long and lazy summer days. Now the windows are glazed with ice, and the kotatsu is the focal point of the living room. Katsu and the oranges. Pictures on the walls, a set on her desk. And opposite the boxy television set? Single syllable falls from my lips. I was wrong. There is something different about this room after all. A small shrine has been erected on a stand in the corner. A photograph of my grandfather in the center, a few candles around the edges. Grandfather died a little over a year ago, before I went to university. I haven't seen my grandmother since the funeral. I haven't been to her home. Never seen the shrine. I swallow. Never used to like visiting my grandparents. Knew they were nice people. They always gave me spending money on my birthday and New Year's, as grandparents do. It's usually that and filling you up in sweets and the food. Pretty much just spoiling you in general. Anyway, but I was too young to appreciate their company. And my grandfather died. Died and I wasn't that upset, because I didn't really know him. But that upset me more than his passing did. I didn't know him. How was that possible? I'd had plenty of opportunities to talk to him during my childhood, but I never took advantage of them. Instead, I spent my time at my grandparents' home, lounging about like a malcontent cat, reading and rereading volumes of boys' manga I'd brought with me to starve off the inevitable boredom. Maybe that's the real reason why I decided to see my grandmother today. Toko contributed to my decision, but this is something that's weighed on me for a while. Guilt. Don't want my grandmother to die like my grandfather, as a mysterious benevolent entity who exists as nothing more than a shadow in this periphery of my life. I want to get to know her a little bit better, not as an estranged family member, but as a human being. She deserves it. She's always been so nice to me after all. Her and my grandfather. And she's back. Sorry to keep you waiting, you. Grandmother enters the living room, supporting a tray out in her ropey hands. Here's your tea. Oh, thank you. Don't need any help with that? Don't fuss so much, dear. Like I said, you're my guest. It's my job to look after you. Now, sit back down. Grandmother slides a cup of tea from the tray, places it atop the kotatsu, beside the bowl of oranges. Thank you. Bow my head, my voice hushed. Wait until my grandmother has placed her own cup of tea down. It slides beneath the covers before I take my first sip. Is it good? Push the tea from one side of my mouth to the other, savoring the taste. I never liked green tea when I was little, but now I've developed a tolerance for it. Borders on faultiness, when right criteria is met. Grandmother's tea unfortunately meets all those criteria. Tea is a soft and slightly muted taste. Leaves have been steeped for just the right amount of time, allowing the earthy flavor to seep through the warm water. It's good. Thanks a lot. No worry, dear. Ikanari always loved my tea. He said brewing tea was one of my talents. Grandpa, huh? That might be insensitive. Can't help but glance back at the shrine. Grandfather looks back at me from behind the smooth glassy frame that entombs a smile on my face. I think it's a nice picture. It would be far too sad if his funeral photograph bore a frown. Though, now that I think about it, I can't remember ever seeing him frown. He's a very cheerful, good-natured person. I swore it was because of the air around here. It's the cleanest in Japan. It was what he always told me. Been a while since his funeral, huh? That's right. Been more than a year already. Though it feels like it was only yesterday. Do you, my gaze dropped to the tabletop. Katatsu, on the surface, is scuffed with age. It's ingrained with marks even deeper than the wrinkles in my grandmother's face. Wonder how old this Katatsu is. It looks like it's been through the wars. Maybe literally. Do you miss him? Of course I miss him. We live in a very quiet part of the world, but Yukinari had a knack for bringing things to life. My grandfather had a loud, booming voice, even when he was well into his 80s. I can still remember him calling out, the sound invading every single nook and cranny of this small wooden house. The watermelon's ready. Wonder how long ago that was. Maybe 5 years, maybe 10. When I went to sleep, I could always hear him snoring. Drowned out everything. Now, however, my grandmother sighs. I can hear the cicadas in the summer, the wind in the winter more clearly than ever before. Didn't you hear snoring bother you? Oh, not really. I got used to it. People can get used to anything. Have you gotten used to the wind? Not just yet. Maybe I should amend my previous statement. People can get used to anything when they're young. When they get older, we go into our habits. We fall into routines. When things come along to disrupt that, it unsettles us. It takes long to adjust. I'm sorry. Grandmother smiles gently. Why are you apologizing, dear? You didn't kill Yukinari. Yukinari? Yeah, that. Or maybe he did and suddenly this visual novel turns into a horror game? God, I hope not. I know, but you have nothing to feel sorry about. Yukinari loved you a lot, you know. He did? Of course. You're a precious grandchild. I'm sure he still loves you, whenever he may be. But he can't give you New Year's money anymore. My grandmother laughs, shaking her head. Not sure whether I should laugh or not. It might seem insensitive, so I'll take another sip of my green tea instead. That's fine. I'm too old for New Year's money now. Grandma looks me over, one hand beneath her chin. I suppose you are, yes. Getting bigger and bigger by the second. Trico's snide on about my expanding girth niggles at me. I mean, that's one way to describe it, I guess. My cheeks turn pink and I bow my head, staring at my lap. So were you really talking about that kind of girth, or? I'm not that big. Not big then, tall. Yukinari was tall, and our economy. You must take after them. I don't think I'm so very tall. I've always been short for my age. Well, maybe I'm getting shorter. So, how long are you planning to stay here, you? Maybe a day or two? Takes a while to get back, and the trains are all delayed on the way here. Ah, that's right. So all that snow, isn't there? Has it been snowing a lot? Ever so much. The weather forecast said it was meant to snow tonight, too. Wonder if the trains will even be running tomorrow. I've seen Christmas cakes on sale in the supermarket near my apartment in Tokyo, and these depict idyllic scenes. A neat circle of fruit cake with white icing piped on top, studded with little gingerbread houses and small edible snowmen. Christmases in the countryside, however, are as far away from that ideal as you can imagine. Snow here can fall thick and fast between the months of December and March. It can even snow all the way into April if the weather is cold enough. The weather seems to be getting colder and colder with each passing year. Some of the very old houses around these parts, their wooden walls and rafters, worm-eaten and worn, actually collapsed beneath the weight of the snowfall a couple of years ago. Roofs simply caved in, able to bear the heavy burden of all that pure white snow. It's no wonder that the legends of fearsome snow women who prowl the mountains at night looking for lost travellers originated from this area. And I find these snow women out in Tokyo. You see, temptations that can lead young men astray are limited to pachinko parlors and smoky steakiers. I guess it goes to seem laughable when you're surrounded by so many modern high-rise buildings. Much more isolated in the countryside. Quieter. Lonelier. I strained my ears. I could hear the sound of the wind whistling through the skinny, denuded trees outside. I should have been beneath my kutatsu. All of a sudden, I feel like a young kid. You can stay here as long as you want if the trains aren't running. I hope you don't get too bored. There's much to do around here, particularly when the snow starts falling. It's fine, I came here to spend time with you anyway. How sweet. If only Yotoko would do the same. She prefers to be called a Tomi now. Oh yes, I forgot. When you get to be my age, you start forgetting things. Just like Yukinari. He was always misplacing his glasses, even when they were on the bridge of his own nose. Seemed pretty spry to me. In fact, I think you look even younger than before. Well, thank you. That's very kind. Lucky to have a caring grandchild like you. I know it's nothing, really. And I mean it. Had so many opportunities to reach out to my grandparents in the past, but I never bothered. Visiting them in my youth was a painful experience, and worse than having teeth pulled out at the dentist. Then before I realized it, grandfather was dead. He was dead, and never tried to get to know him. That was the wake-up call I needed. Grandparents, though they were born in a different generation to mine, are still human beings. Must get lonely too. I got lonely in Tokyo in my first few weeks of starting university. Even though I was always surrounded with people, maybe I was homesick. Can't imagine how lonely my grandmother must feel now that her husband of more than 50 years has passed. She had been with him for such a long time, devoted so much of her life to him. Now he's gone, vanished into thin air. Grandmother is still smiling, but I do wonder. Guess that grandfather's shine once more. His photograph looks back at me, his eyes unblinking. Fortunately, the photograph can't bring back what's been lost. This is just a snapshot of frozen time, forcibly removed from all context, one day to be devoid of all meaning. What worth will photographs like these have 50 years from now? 100? 500? Who will remember my grandfather when the rest of the family is gone? No twist in my stomach. Outside, the wind outside continues to howl. Weather forecast was right. Later that evening, it really does start to snow. Snow sprawls through the air in delicate, gauzy flakes, like ballerinas in tillay skirts. Snowfall is soft at first, almost tender, though anxious about whether it should land on the earth or not. But the flakes soon increase in size and volume. Now, at around 9 in the evening, the whole ground has been steeped in white. I watch the snow as it falls outside the window, still sitting beneath the kotatsu. So much of it. I could always feel it's been dumped from the sky by a truck. It will be a cold night tonight. I nod my head dumbly. Television is on in the background. I'm not watching it. I've been watching it for the past half an hour, too busy staring at the snow. Each flake of snow that drifts past the window stirs new memories in my heart. Just doesn't snow like this in Tokyo. Doesn't get cold enough. Never thought I'd miss the snow, but now I feel strangely nostalgic. And about Palette Princess's new CD. Can we expect any surprises? Well, surprises are supposed to be kept secret, you know. Don't want to spoil anybody's fun. Evasive as always. That's why we love you, Aina. All women need to have one or two secrets, yet those who spend their lives performing. Television buzzes dimly. Images flicker on the screen, but they look hazy and indistinct, as though I'm viewing them from beneath a film of water. A man in grey suit sits on a couch. A group of girls clad in gingham face him. Spoken with a wink that could make any man's heart flutter. Fallen for the charms of the adorable Nina and her group, Palette Princess. Please consider supporting their newest release. And again, for any latecomers, what's your latest CD called? Dreaming in December. Do you know that group, you? I turn, tearing my eyes away from the window, look over the girls who are displayed on the TV. The image on the screen is shaking uncomfortably, like it was being broadcast live on a boat in the middle of a storm. Makes my head hurt. At least I can make out the image, more or less. There are 5 girls wearing matching outfits in varying colours: green, blue, yellow, purple, and pink. I think the girl in pink sitting in the centre is the leader. Aina, was it? I think Otoko likes that group, but I'm not interested in idols. I don't listen to pop music either, but they look like nice girls. Very smiley. They have to be smiley, that's how they sell CDs. How cynical. Is that what living in a city does to people? Living in a city. And the internet, maybe. Well, I wouldn't know much about that. I've never gone along with the so-called World Wide Web. Grandma makes quotation marks with her fingers when she says it, so the internet is some kind of strange voodoo magic far beyond her understanding. Well, to people who aren't familiar with the internet, it might as well be voodoo magic. Don't entirely understand how it works myself. Good thing I'm studying law, not computing. Kanami tried to set me up with one of his old monitors, and Otami, lent me a hand. But Yukinari couldn't wrap his head around it. I couldn't either. Well, I guess you don't need to worry about it. I try not to. I know, just a relic of the past. Oh no. Not a relic, exactly. A fossil then? Well, you don't need to worry about hurting my feelings, you. I know where I stand. Nothing like those girls. What girls? The ones on the television. Those girls look so bright and cheerful, even though they're wearing such short skirts. I never would have been allowed to dress like that when I was their age. Poor mother's heart would have stopped beating. Times are changing. That's right. getting to notice it more and more. I just can't keep up with you young people. Half of what Toko says goes over my head, I'm afraid. All this talk about boy bands and fashion and TV shows. You shouldn't pay attention to it, Toko. Head's as empty as a Halloween pumpkin. You're so cruel to your little sister, you. You've always bullied her. Me? Bully her? Said my grandmother, open-mouthed at this utter fallacy. Has she not been paying attention to the way Toko treats me? Or has she simply forgotten? Maybe she doesn't know because we don't visit her enough, but I think I need to set the record straight. I think it's the other way around. Toko never has a nice word to spare for me. Maybe she doesn't think you deserve nice words, dear. Why not? You did lock her in our futon closet when you were younger. Oh, yeah. A pause, shamefaced, sort of indignant anger spent. Guess my grandmother was right. I did do that. Happened so long ago I'd totally forgotten. I think Toko was trapped in that cramped, musty closet for half an hour, till my parents realized she was missing and organized a search party. Say you're getting on in years, but you have a better memory than I do. How could I forget? You caused such a commotion. Well, guess I used to be a brat when I was younger. Most children behave badly, nothing to be ashamed about, but I don't know if he ever apologized to her. My mother gives me a piercing look. Did you apologize, you? No, but it was so long ago. It's not like it matters anymore. That's what you might think, but these little things can stay with people. Women are incredibly good at holding grudges. Are you speaking from experience? I'm afraid that is a well-kept secret. My mother taps the side of her nose with one finger, and I suppress a shudder. I hope no wayward woman tried to take my grandfather away from my grandmother when she was in the prime of her youth. If she was anything like her Toko is now, I'm sure her vengeance would have been swift and painful. Still, grandmother frowns, forehead creased with innumerable wrinkles. I know I'm past my prime, just like poor old Lisette. Dolls like her used to be exceedingly fashionable back in the day. A lot of people in this village had them. French dolls used to be a status symbol for bored housewives. They were like sport cars and infinitely more affordable. But now, they're outdated. Time marches on, and it caught up with poor Lisette. Her hair started to fall out. Her clothes had been eaten by moss. She never quite recovered from the nasty bump Kaname gave her when he was little. Her right thumb hanging on with the power of hope and blue tack. She looks alright to me. From a distance, maybe. She's nothing like she was in her glory days. She really was beautiful when we first brought her. Believe it or not, I used to be beautiful too. At least, that's what Yukinari told me. But all good things come to an end. Sometimes they come to an end much too quickly. I hear the snow falling in the background above the low, lazy buzz of the TV. Wind whistles about this old house, shaking it to its very foundations. Like Lisette, it's seen better days. Wonder whether my grandmother's house will one day collapse beneath its old age and all the snow. What will last longer, my grandmother or her home? Don't know how much about my grandmother's past, but perhaps that's because there's so little to know. She was born and raised in this tiny village. She never left. Save the odd trip or two to Tokyo, and her honeymoon with friends. Never had any reason to leave either, because life was comfortable here, in all its simplicity, and she had no desire to move. Life was simpler back then. Maybe that's because the internet hadn't been invented yet. hard for me to believe, but my grandmother grew up in an era without the World Wide Web, as she calls it. People wanted to unearth new information, went to the library, or asked around the neighborhood. Progress really is amazing. People always get left behind. My grandparents' case happened quite literally. So more and more residents of this village began to move outward in search of new jobs. All the young people left, while their aged parents stayed on. No new blood coming in, so this village stagnated. In a few years, all those old people will be no more. This place will be completely empty. Ghost village filled with the carcasses of these ancient, uninhabited houses, just like discarded shells of cicadas. The population of the cities will continue to swell, while quiet countryside villages such as this will fade away. The village is already unmistakably beginning to die. You can see it in how dirty and dilapidated this train station is, how empty the streets, how ramshackle all the old wooden homes. There's hardly anybody here anymore. Just the wind and the snow and the stars. I still remember when I first met Yukinari. Grandmother's voice was soft, her eyelashes downturned. I was only 16. I went to a local shrine on New Year's Eve with my mother, meaning to ring the bell and offer my prayers to the gods. I was wearing a new kimono and a soft gauzy shawl that was brand new. I thought I looked very fine, and I wouldn't stop preening. My mother told me I'd be struck with misfortune if I continued to be so vain, but she was right. Mother had tremendous foresight. But she didn't know that this would also be my luckiest day. My shawl got caught in a sudden breeze and it drifted away from me. I tried to get it back, but I wasn't fast enough. I couldn't reach it in time. I was sure my lovely new shawl was gone forever, until he caught it for me. You mean grandfather? Grandmother nods her head, a small smile on her face. That's right. That sounds very romantic. It was. I was quite taken with him. Grandmother smiles fondly, fingertips tracing the rim of her teacup. Wish I could go back to the Junji shrine. Ikanari might be gone now, but I feel closer to him there than anywhere else. I can still remember how my heart fluttered when he handed me my shawl. My fingers brushed for the very first time. It was so long ago, but it feels as though it were only yesterday. Then why don't you go back there? It'll be New Year's in a few days. You can relive your old memories. Oh no, I'm too old, and it's cold. There are too many stairs. I couldn't go there now. I could help you. You can lean on my shoulder and I'll escort you up those stairs. I don't mind. That's a sweet offer, dear, but in this weather, I think not. We both slip and break our necks. Well, maybe you have a point. Snow continues to fall outside the window. It's falling even faster and thicker now. Such a thing is possible. I think nobody is wandering the mountains that surround this village, lost and alone. Seems like the ideal weather for a frostbitten, revenge-driven snow lady to search for new victims. And I don't know if I would want to visit Ikanari like this anyway. What do you mean? Grandmother looks down at herself, at a beige sweater, demure skirt, and a withered old hand lying on her lap, and sighs. Not the bright-eyed, eager young girl I used to be. I've gotten older, and the shrine has gotten older too, fallen into disrepair just like me. I don't think I could stand to go back and see it crumble or overrun with weeds. I think I would prefer to keep my memories inside here. Grandmother holds one hand against her breast. Mirrors aren't like flowers. It's easier to nurture them in the dark. If I don't expect too much, I can't be disappointed. But that sounds so sad. Getting old is sad, dear. But it's something I made peace with. Happens to the best of us. And the worst. And everybody in between. And that concludes our interview with the lovely Palette Princess. Hope you enjoyed yourselves, but don't switch over yet. We have another treat in store. That's right. There's a brand new up-and-coming idol group formed by Sanix called... I never get to discover what Sanix's new idol group is called because at that moment the TV shorts out. Of course it does. Screen flickers, then turns a series of peculiar colours. Cycles through strawberry, lemon, and blue Hawaii before it cuts out entirely, eaten up by a full screen of squirming maggot-like static. Snow inside the TV screen. Oh dear. Grandma tucks and shakes her head. All the snow must have knocked down the television aerial. It happened last year too. How long does it take to fix? As long as it takes for a repairman to come out here. Last time that happened, it took weeks. Weeks? That was after Kinari phoned them a dozen times. He could be quite insistent when he wanted. I can imagine. I still remember my grandfather's loud booming voice as he called me to the kitchen to fetch my freshly cut slice of watermelon. It took a man like grandfather weeks to get results. Can't imagine my grandmother will be more successful. Oh well, I don't watch much TV anyway. And how do you feel the time? Can't imagine there's much to do around here. Oh no, Grandpa's. Oh, I find ways. I like cooking. There's always housework to be done. But my back hasn't quite been up to it lately, I admit. And when that loses its appeal, I always read. Do you read a lot? Oh yes, I've always loved reading. So many books I wanted to get through when I was younger, but never had the time. Grandma smiles wistfully. Now I have all the time in the world. But my eyesight's so bad I can't focus more than 10 minutes at a time. There's always one thing or another. Okay, one of Dad's commonly used phrases, and Grandmother laughs. That's what Yukinari always said. Dad says it too. Well, it's true. It is always one thing or another. You just have to take the good with the bad. I've had a lot to be thankful for in my life. Like, meaning Grandpa? Yes, that's one of my favourite pastimes. Living our first encounter. At the shrine? With the shawl. When he called it, my heart skipped a beat. Would have been taken with Yukinari in any case, because he was so tall and distinguished, but when he caught the shawl, seemed like destiny somehow. It was though the gods at the shrine had taken charge of the wind to ensure that we would meet that night. Oh my. Grandmother smiles sheepishly. It sounds so sentimental when I recount it like that. I think it sounds nice, like something from a movie. Always thought that too. It could be a scenario from an Ozu film. Where Toko would lap it up. It does sound like the kind of thing she'd be interested in, doesn't it? Sadly, I don't think I can retell it in a way that she would find compelling. Why not? It wouldn't be any flashy special effects. And it wouldn't star Takesawa... I'm sorry for butchering the names. Who's that? The actor. Toko loves him. He used to keep a photo of him inside her purse. Well, girls will be girls, won't they? There used to be quite a spin with KB Rio when I was a young girl myself. Grandmother starts laughing, piercing or creasing out with mirth, and I can't help but join her. Can't remember the last time I bonded with my grandmother like this. I don't think I've ever bonded with my grandmother like this. Smell green tea drifts through the room. Seems to permeate the wooden rafters and the tatami mats, viewing everything with a warm and homey aroma. Many cups of green tea had my grandparents drunk, sitting together in this small, cozy living room. That's how movies always are, I suppose. Like reinventing things, making them beautiful. They cast the most handsome actors available, bringing every last drop of drama out of events until they're nigh unbelievable. That's what people want. Sometimes fantasy can be more comforting than reality. Is that really what you think? If there exists a fantasy where I could be a young girl again, I'd jump on it in an instant. If I could be a girl who only one more day, well, I'm sure that's about to happen. Grandmother shakes her head, perhaps charting herself into foolishness. Then she pauses, sits up a little straighter and points out the window, almost knocking over a cup of green tea in the process. Oh, look you. What? Out the window. Turn my head obediently. Snow is falling thick and fast, obscuring most of the inky night sky. But between the pure white flakes, I can just about see it. Rain hanging majestically above our heads. There, in a trail like a jet plane as it streaks across the night sky, is a star. A shooting star. I haven't seen any shooting stars in Tokyo. I hardly see any stars in Tokyo, full stop. Yeah, that's the one downside of living in any place with a large amount of light pollution. Don't get to see them in my sky. Buildings are so tall, it's almost like they scare the stars away, showing them even higher up into the stratosphere. The sky is murky and more mysterious when you live in a big city constantly decked with blinking lights. Out here, in the middle of the nowhere, your night sky is unimpeded by any outside distractions. Not even the snow can mask it. Quickly, make a wish. A wish? That's right, I'll make a wish too. Grandmother closes her eyes, her eyelashes mat together. Like her grey, wispy hair, my grandmother's eyelashes have also started to thin. They look like nothing like the plump, voluptuous bands of eyelashes that frame the eyes of the polite princess girls. Thinking about it, those girls' eyelashes can't be all natural. They're fakes. Tokyo uses them too. Guess most guys wouldn't care about that. They might not even realize it, but when you have a fashionable little sister like Otoko, you learn about the tricks women use to amplify their beauty, whether you want to or not. Speaking of Otoko, maybe I should wish for that. Yeah. Can't think of anything else I'd rather ask for. There are gods out there, mysterious being, light as air, who's conspired to bring my grandparents together all those decades ago. Then I hope they can hear my humble wish. I only have one. Hope Otoko and I can get along better. Spent that night lying in a futon my grandmother prepared for me in the guest room. Well, I call it a guest room. It's more like a storage room, really, cluttered with various bits and pieces my grandparents had brought over the course of their long lives. There's a bookcase pushed to one side of the room, filled with, from top to toe with paperbacks. I wonder if this is where my grandmother stores all the books she can't keep in her bedroom or the living room. My grandmother said she was a precarious reader. She wasn't lying. The whole house was crammed with books, ranging from classics we students had to suffer through in high school. Look at you, Soseki Natsumi, To modern tale penned by best-selling authors like Soto Kane, Nanami Asa, Higashino Kigo, and many more that I've never heard of. Well, I've unfortunately never heard of any of those authors, so... Some of the books are dog-eared and look well-worn, well-loved. Most of them are brand new. They're pretty and pristine, like a freshly fallen snow outside. Their pages are immaculate, covers devoid of any wear and tear. Some of those books, half hidden in encroaching darkness, touches at something inside my breast. Not sure what it is exactly. Sympathy? So many books my grandmother wants to read. So many books she'll never get the time to read now. The constant snowfall drums insistently against the window pane. Icy winds, sharp as razors, slide through gaps in the wall and dance about the room. Unseen and invisible, but undeniably there. Howling of the wind makes me think of ghosts or spirits. Snowy women that roam the mountains, with faces that white as milk. Their eyelashes decorated with fallen snowflakes like shining gemstones. I wonder, what mysterious force of nature was it that parted my grandmother from a shore all those years ago, sent her running into the arms of my grandfather? Was it just a sudden gust of wind, or was there something more to it? Not a superstitious person. Like some of my fellow university students, I don't spend hours at night trawling the internet, searching for urban legends, conspiracy theories to get riled up about. I prefer to believe that things simply happen. There's not always a reason for it, but that's just the way life is. That's my typical stance on the issue, but I'm in this old house, brewed with a scent of green tea, served to hundreds, thousands of ghostly impressions of my grandparents' past. And I'm surrounded by old books that have been well loved, new books that may never have a chance to be loved, and the snow is falling softly from beyond my darkened window. I can almost bring myself to believe. Maybe it really was a spirit after all. It's easier to believe in magic and spirits and destiny when you're isolated in the countryside, miles and miles away from the noise and the traffic and the high-rise buildings of Tokyo. Not sure why. Perhaps being alone beneath the starry sky naturally fuels our imaginations. It's harder to imagine when you're surrounded by so many people. Life swallows you up like a tidal wave, allowing no time for idle thoughts like this. Turn over in my futon, restlessly rocking out the thin covers. There's only one pillow to rest my head on, and it's sad. Threadbare thing that smells faintly of mildew in old age. Can't help but imagine as I try and fail to get comfortable that the spirits are giggling at my misfortunes. Snow outside really is relentless. Wind continues to moan. Atami mats creak, and all the while, as I slowly fall into the land of dreams, I swear I can hear the faint sounds of muffled laughter.